Okay, so I'm just going to go through the first of these modelling exercises in the file I've given you on modelling, and scrolling through there you can see actually on this page these two buildings. So the one on the right is the one I'm going to do in this video, and going down further you can see it should take you about an hour, and it is a beginner level course, so you should easily be able to complete it. And going through into the section below, you can see that you need to start this one with a file you've been supplied with. So you can click on the open button if you have the program open already, or if like me you've got the welcome screen up having just started 3ds Max, you can click browse and then browse to the P drive, interior design, ID digital environments, and then 3ds Max exercises, modelling tutorial files, modelling, and then high-rise, where you'll see building 1 start. I'm going to double click there, and if you get a message about Gamma and LUT settings mismatch, make sure you have the bottom option selected there and click OK. And so to make the PDF visible, I'm just going to use the restore down button in the top right corner to bring the program window in a little bit, and I'll bring the PDF across as well, just to give me a little bit more room to work with. And so then if you read through the next section, you'll see it tells you to create a box. So on the create panel over here you can see we've got geometry selected, standard primitives, and then you can see the box tool should be right there, and you just need to then click and drag in the perspective viewport on that plane that you can see already, release, and then raise the cursor, click again, and that should create a box for you. So I'll pan a little bit so I can see the whole thing, and now I'm going to change the length to 70, the width also to 70, and then the height to 300 meters, and then the length segments to 7, width segments to 7, and height to 50. So you can see that's giving me divisions on this box. And by the way, so far I've been working in the perspective viewport. If you want to see the other viewports and you don't, make sure you know about the maximize viewport toggle in the bottom right corner, which you can use to maximize any viewport at any time. So going down to the next section, you can see you need to give this object a name. You can do that on the create panel as well. So I'll call this building 1 glazing, and then we need to apply a taper modifier. So you have to do this on the modify tab, and then you can also do it from the menu. So in the notes it says to go to the modifiers menu, and then you can find it there, but I'll do it from the modifier list, which gives you the same options, and I'm going to choose taper from the list there, and then set these values minus 0.45 and the curve minus 0.9. So you can see how now we have this tapering shape which curves along the side. And then following along, again it tells you in the notes where you can find this on the menu, but I will also instead choose it from the modifier list, and so this one is twist. So we need an angle there of 90 and a bias of 45. And then finally we need to apply what's called an FFD, which is freeform deformation modifier. And so again you can find this in the modifier list. Scrolling down you can see there FFD box is the option you need to choose, and then right away you need to click set number of points, change the length segments to 2, width segments to 2, and the height to 7. Click OK. Now I'm going to make sure, so again using that minimize maximize toggle in the bottom right corner if you need to bring the front viewport up. So I can zoom there. In the notes it'll say you can use the view cube to do this. Okay, so in the view cube you can click front, but I think it'll work better for you if you right click into the front viewport and use it instead. So I'm going to select that object, so just deselected it, and then in the notes again you can see you need to click on the plus next to the FFD box in the stack, go to control points, make sure you've changed to the select and move tool, and then make a window around the top row of control points, and then using the x-axis there, you can just click and drag on that axis and drag it over slightly to the right, and then skipping the next two rows, I'll go to the fourth one down, and then again clicking and dragging slightly to the right. So now we have a deformed, twisted, tapering box. So following on from that, make sure you save the file, because that is the first object completely done. That's the glazing, and so I'll just save this and we'll call it building 1 glazing. And so I'm going to go back to the top of the stack, which is always good practice. You can see there it's got control points highlighted yellow. If I choose FFD box above that, it goes grey, which tells you it's no longer active. And so then I want to change the colour of this before I create my new object. So you can do this either on the Create tab, where you'll see the colour swatch at the end there, or on the Modify tab you have the same option but it's at the top, and it might look like mine, which is black and white, and then you can choose any colour. So I've created my glazing. Now I need to duplicate it to create the mullions. So again, making sure it's selected. In the notes it'll tell you go to the menu, but again I'm going to use a different method. I'm going to right click and then choose clone, and then you need to change the object option to reference, and then I'll give the new name, which is mullions. And now you can see there's a grey bar above those previous modifiers, and they've turned bold to remind you it's been duplicated and it's linked to the previous object. And so then I'm going to right click and go to isolate selection. And this is a little bit different to the way it's shown in the notes, because there you'll see it says that the dialog box will come up with the button exit isolation mode. You won't get that option. Instead you need to right click and choose end isolate when you are ready to exit it. But I don't need to do that yet, so I'm just going to go back and change the colour of my mullions so they're different to the glass. And then going down, just fix the name there. So going down further, you can see the next thing we need to apply is a new modifier, edit poly. And so in the list of on the modifier list there, you'll find edit poly, and it's really important there that it is not bold. If you see it is bold, there's something wrong, and you need to try it again. So there, edit poly, you can see isn't bold, the ones below are. And now we need to choose the polygon option, which you can see in the selection panel here, polygon, and then select everything. So Control A should do that, making a window around them will do that as well. And oh no, sorry, I've skipped a step. That's for afterwards. So just click to one side. I'm going to use the cube this time to just orbit. You can also use the option down here, or the shortcut Alt and the middle mouse button. And I'm just going to zoom in to see the top of that object clearly, and make sure I select the very centre polygon there. Using the grow option, you can click on it a few times to expand the selection and select the entire top. I'm going to use Alt then to orbit and see the bottom, which again I'll select the center face and use grow, delete, and clear that entire bottom surface. Okay, so now I need to do what I'd skipped to before, and that is select everything. So I'm going to I'll just make a window to select it all, and then if you scroll down in the modify panel, you'll see there is an inset option. You just need to click on the settings button next to that, and then put in, or firstly choose by polygon, and then put in 0.3 as your inset value, and it doesn't hurt to zoom in there and see what's happening. So you can see it's basically offset each of those polygons. And before I click anywhere else, I'm going to click the tick. Sorry, that should clear it, there we go. And then press delete on the keyboard, or alternatively you can go to edit and choose delete from there. And that should clear all of those inner polygons. And zooming in there, you can see we've got a mesh, which is essentially the framing for all the windows, or the mullions. And so that is the bulk of it done. Now I'm going to go down to the final section there where you need to make the mullions thicker. And so to do this, you need to exit the edit poly modifier. I've got polygon still selected there. So you can do this either by clicking on the polygon button or going again, like I showed you before, to the top of the stack there. And now I'll go to the shell modifier and put in 0.3 for the outer amount, and zooming in again there so you can see it, we've got now a frame that has some thickness. Okay, and so that is the mullions done. And so this part's really important. You need to then exit isolation by right clicking, end isolate, and you can see zooming in that we have the glass showing and the ground plane as well. And then you need to select the glazing. At this point I might save the file again, so I'm going to save as and call this building 1 mullions. Okay, and so just like before, I'm going to duplicate the glazing. So again, right click and then clone, leave it on reference, and then you can put the new name in, which is metallic shell. And then, just like before, right click and isolate selection. So I've got now my new object, which is the same colour as the glass. So I'm going to change it to yet another colour so it stands out. And then, again, just like before, we're going to put an edit poly modifier on. But this time, to make it easier to work with the geometry, I'm going to temporarily disable those previous modifiers. So taper, twist, and FFD box. I'm going to click onto the light bulb next to each, which will return it to the original box form. And then, so I've done all of these steps, and now we need to select these polygons that are shown in the notes there. Okay, so the easiest way to do this is just count the number you're selecting. It should be 15 down and 5 across. And again, you can do this in the front viewport. So I'm going to go to polygon over on the right, and then just clicking and dragging, oh sorry, before I do that, going to the select object option on the main toolbar, and then clicking and dragging, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and across. So you'll see if you look at it in the perspective view, it should have selected front and back. And now I'm going to use Alt and then make windows over each of these corner polygons. And you should see that again, because I'm making a window selection, or crossing, that it will cross over both the front and the back. So again, it's deselected from the front and the back there. And then I'll delete those. So again, either delete on the keyboard or under edit, choose delete. Got a hole going through the building now. So the next panel coming down, if you count from the picture there, you'll see it's 14 down. So again, just clicking and dragging. So 1, 2, 3, 8, 14, and then across 5. And so again, using Alt to deselect each of the corner pieces. And again, just delete on the keyboard. And then the last piece should just go all the way to the bottom, to the second last row. Again, Alt to deselect the corner pieces at the top, but then at the bottom, this time you just need to deselect the middle 3 columns for the first 2 rows that are selected, and then the center column just for that 1 row. So that's the pattern. And then again, delete on the keyboard, and then finally on this side, the 2 polygons in the very center. So that's the front and the back done. Now we just need to do the side. So going down to the next picture, you can see there what the pattern is, and it tells you as well in the notes. So it's 5 by 7 from the top. So that one's fairly easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 coming across. Again, Alt to deselect the corners. Then 15 down again. And across. And now I'm going to come up from the bottom because it's just easier to count that way. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Across. And then finally, just the pieces that are remaining between those. Okay, so that's done all of the cutouts that we need. And now to finish that, we need to round off the edges. And sorry, I've missed a bit as well. You need to remove the bottom. So it does mention that in the notes. I skipped that, so that's okay though. I'm going to use my method to select the parts that I need, and then I'll use the grow option just like before. So I selected with Control to get those initial faces, and then grow will still work. So I can delete the bottom faces, but make sure you keep the top. So I've left the top there, so it should be. And now using the edge option, which is 2 to the left of polygon, you can use orbit to rotate the view, and then I'm going to select one of those edges on the corner, and then using orbit go around so I can see the other corners, and hold down Control while I select each of those. So with Control I'm just getting one edge on each corner. And you can see there it's telling me 4 edges selected. So I have an edge on each of the 4 sides of the building, or the 4 corners. And now I'm going to use the loop option, which should extend that selection along each of those entire sides. And then following on from that, we just need to use the chamfer option. So you find if you scroll down further, chamfer has a settings button next to it. Click on that, and you can change the value there to I think from memory 2 meters, and then the segments to 4. Fairly sure is what it is. Yep. Tick to finish, and you can see there zooming in that it's rounded off those corners essentially. And so that is the bulk of the modelling done. And so I'm going to again turn off the Edit Poly modifier, either by clicking on the Edge button or going to the top of the stack in the Edit Poly option in under your modifier list. So it should turn grey. Now I want to turn on those modifiers again, Taper, Twist and FFD, to see the finished result with the modifiers applied. again, to bring back the other objects, you can right click and choose End Isolate, which should return the mullions in the shell. And you can see I've missed a step because my metallic shell is not projecting out enough. That's okay though, I can do it now. So from the modifier list there, I'm going to choose the final modifier we need, which is shell, and make the outer amount 2, and that projects it beyond the mullions in the glass. So that's the modelling done. So I'm going to again save that file. We'll call it building 1 model. And now all we need to do is assign the materials. So I'm going to bring up the material editor on the main toolbar there, your sphere button with the checker pattern, and this time you need to use the slate material editor. So it's a good chance to just try that. So remember, under modes, if you have the compact material editor, this one, you can again go to the modes menu and choose slate material editor, and then scrolling down, you can see there we need to start with the glazing there according to the notes. So I will just move this over and make it a bit smaller, so I can select my glazing object. And then you need to find this glass material in the sample slot. So if you don't see that down below, you just need to make sure that all of these other sections are minimized. So they may be expanded. If you click on the minus next to each of them, it'll minimize them all, and then you should see sample slots at the bottom. And you need to then drag the glass material into the view area, into view 1, leave it on instance, click OK, and you'll see it. Double click to make it active. And then to assign it, the way it tells you in the notes, just so you can try something different, just trying to get enough room here to do this. So it says you can drag from the output node. So the output node is the circle on the right of that panel. Dragging from there, and you can see as I hover over the different parts of the building, it tells me which one I have. And so there it says building 1 glazing. That's exactly what I want. Okay, so it's assigned the material. Now what's happened there is the material's been assigned to all of these objects, which may happen to you as well. So I'm just going to go back, and I don't remember if it tells you to do this, but yeah, if this happens, I'm just going to close this. What you may have to do is select the other object. So I'm going to, just before I assign materials to the next one, just check the object properties. Yeah, it's assigned the glass to it. So just so you don't have to do anything too complicated, I'm going to select that building 1 mullions, and then in the stack, scroll down to anything that's bold, right click, and then make unique. And I'll do that with the shell as well. So again, on anything that's bold, right click, make unique, and then going into the material editor again, I find the next one. So in again the sample slots, if you scroll across, you should find the metal arc and design material. Drag that across and drop it in the view 1 area. And again, from the output node there, I'm just going to drag it onto my metallic shell. And then the mullions you'll find is below in the sample slot. So again, I'm just going to drag that in the into view 1 to that panel. Just move that up a little bit. And then again, I'm going to drag from the output node there onto mullions. So I'll just try that again. There we go. Right, and that's done. So all of those materials are assigned. So I'll just maximize this, get a view that I'm happy with, just in the perspective viewport there, and click the teapot to render. Okay, so you can see there, all the materials assigned, all the modelling complete. And just to finish off, I'll show you a little video I rendered earlier. Showing the building from different sides, and this animation took about 15 minutes to render. There you go. Okay, so see how you go with that.